everyone. This is AB Trades, and just want to walk through a little analysis here, just in case it plays out. I could say I told you so. Just kidding. But this is Costco Weekly, and look at how they develop this weekly, right? When we talk about that staircase compression, because it creates a really nice, I guess you can call it run through liquidity. Because if I show you this side by side, right, if you have price moving like this versus price moving like this, if you were to think about it like a staircase, which one is easier to run through that will probably cause the least amount of stress and obstacles, right? If you thought this one, you are correct, because this one you can easily run through it versus this one looks like you have to jump, pull yourself up, etc., etc. So when I talk about like price development and we reference LRLR, we like to see this kind of compression because it not only solidifies the trend very, very well, but whenever the trend changes, look at how price runs through it. Because that staircase, it's easier to run up a staircase than it is a wall. If you visualize it in terms of displacement and how candles move. And when you have that area, or when you solidify a nice PD array on like a weekly or monthly, because like look at Costco on the monthly, right? Look at where it came into a monthly. You came into a monthly 50% before it ran from 830 to 1080. Then you go into your time frame alignments, right? You start going down your time frames. Look at what it did on the weekly. And it's not hindsight either, because we had this mapped out when we were covering. I know you guys remember the Costco prediction, right? When we were down here in the 840s, 850s, and you came down into this weekly, you swept 2024 lows that have not been touched since 2024, right? And when you did that, look at the move afterwards. And if we then drill into the daily, look at what the daily started to do, right? And we can draw it out. Low, lower high, low, lower high, higher low, higher high. You had that structural change happen at the bottom of your broadening after sweeping those lows. And then look at how now that internal structure changes. So you had that first case of higher highs on the lower time frames since 884. And then because of how that weekly developed, price absorption leads to expansion. Price absorption doesn't have to necessarily mean let's stay in a range, right? If you create a tight and compact move up, or if you create a tight and compact move up or down, sorry, down or up, and when you have that initial displacement, you can usually run pretty fairly through them. And that's why those LRLR setups into important PD arrays are super, super clean, because they give moves like this. So now when I go in and talk about PG, right, you have something very similar. PG lows from 2023 swept. Weekly OB that created the first area of consolidation before those aggressive all-time highs swept. Weekly displacement now has occurred. Let's draw it out. Look at this. Look at this absorption of price from a weekly scale. You go from here to here to here to here. If I expand this out, you're not making lower highs anymore. And so I think PG can become a really, really good trade similar to Costco. Now you have inside week, which is pretty good development. You have an inside week against previous month highs. But if this isn't where it goes, like you can expect two things to be true. As long as PG stays above 141, 142. Now, granted, you can still get deeper retracements back down, right? But the idea here is that this now tries and pulls a move similar to Costco. And what makes this really neat too is that earnings are already out of the way. So there's no real catalyst to get in the way. Now this can still fail, obviously. And if it fails, you have to just get a daily or weekly close under that 141-ish area. But for the most part, like if I see this set up on Costco and I see it repeat, it can be a completely different sector. Doesn't matter. But price is historical, price is repetitive, price has memory. There's reasons why these setups exist the way they do and trade out the way they do. And so, if I was a betting man, I would say PG has a good chance of trying to do what Costco did.